Do you believe in reincarnation? On many occasions, life after death becomes an extremely complicated mystery that no one can explain. On one Sunday morning in May of 1957, in the small town of Hexham, sisters Joanna, 11, and Jacqueline Pollock, 6, headed to church with their friend Anthony. On their way to Mass, the three children were fatally hit by a speeding car. The accident killed the two sisters on the spot, while Anthony died as he was bound to the hospital. After the results of the investigation surfaced, it was found that the driver of the vehicle, which mercilessly took the lives of the three children, was a local woman under the heavy influence of drugs. The accident involving the Pollock sisters and their friend left their families utterly devastated. Florence suffered from depression, and John was desperately trying to find answers from his faith. After the incident, he was also said to have sensed the girls' presence in one upstairs room, resulting in him spending most of his time there so that he could be with them. And while Florence constantly wept at the memory of her daughter's death, John prayed for the girls to be reincarnated, often angering Florence and even almost causing her to file for divorce. However, their marriage survived. In a surprising turn of events, just a year after the accident, Florence became pregnant. That time, John, still sold on the idea of reincarnation, was convinced that his wife will once again give birth to Joanna and Jacqueline, only this time as twins, and he firmly held on to his belief despite valuable genetic evidence pointing to the likelihood of them having a twin pregnancy being very low. For one, neither John nor Florence had a history of twins in their families. Aside from this, Florence's obstetrician advised her that she's carrying a single fetus in her womb. Yet, on October 4th, 1958, John's claims proved to be true. Florence gave birth to identical twin girls, Jillian and Jennifer. While the twin birth had already been surprising in itself, a number of succeeding details were even more difficult to believe. The twins, despite being identical in appearance, had different birthmarks, which was deemed highly unusual. Jennifer was noted to have two birthmarks, a round dark one on her left hip and another on her forehead, seemingly mirroring the birthmark Jacqueline had on the same hip, as well as the scar she got from accidentally hitting her head on a bucket once. Moreover, as the twins became toddlers, even more evidence of them being Joanna and Jacqueline reincarnated began to show up. They were said to divide and name their toys exactly like how their deceased sisters did. There were also instances when the twins would ask for the late siblings' toys, as if they themselves owned the items, despite the fact that Florence stored them away right after the accident. Furthermore, despite growing up in Whitley Bay, Jillian and Jennifer both had an immaculate recollection of Hexham, made apparent during their first visit to the area when the twins were aged 4. They knew the names of certain landmarks, like the school Joanna and Jacqueline attended, Hexham Abbey, and even the playground where their departed sisters used to play at. Aside from all this, John and Florence also took notice of the twins' behavior. The twin girls were noted to have similar personalities to Joanna and Jacqueline. Jillian, born 10 minutes earlier than Jennifer, was observed to be protective of a younger sibling, acting more like a responsible older sibling instead of a twin. Meanwhile, Jennifer took after Jacqueline, who depended on Joanna for a lot of things. They also shared interests with their older sisters in games and food, and they leaned more toward the guidance and affection of their grandmother instead of their own mother, seemingly mimicking the chemistry of Joanna and Jacqueline with their closest guardian. Given all this, John was completely convinced that the twins were indeed their dead daughters, born into the family once more. Florence only joined the belief after hearing the twins talk about the car accident that killed Joanna and Jacqueline. Florence reported seeing the two seemingly role-playing the accident, with Jillian holding Jennifer's head in her hands and saying, "The blood's coming out of your eyes. That's where the car hit you." And to add to the mystery, the twins also had a deep fear of cars, which led to countless night terrors. After the twin sisters turned 7 years old, the frequency of these events decreased, and the girls proceeded to live out ordinary lives after that. When the news of the Pollock sisters began spreading around, some people thought of it as compelling proof that reincarnation is real. This case was once even dubbed as one of the most convincing among the others. So, unsurprisingly, it piqued the attention of Dr. Ian Stevenson, a paranormal psychologist from the University of Virginia. Stevenson studied the Pollock twins from 1964 to 1985, and in the end, he concluded that it is likely that the twins were indeed the reincarnated Joanna and Jacqueline Pollock due to factors like their personalities, behavior toward each other, mannerisms, as well as the statements from both the twins and their family. Were Joanna and Jacqueline truly reincarnated back into their own family? To this day, no one knows.